Do. Oh, hey, we're live. Hi, it's James Stewart. It's James Scaramozzino. Did I get that right?
Scaramozzino, close enough.
Scaramozzino, whatever. Headline for you, Skaz. Here's the headline on NBA.com. Jaylen Brown scores 22. Celtics beat Nuggets 110-103 despite 20 points, 14 boards, 9 assists from Jokic. But I have questions, Skaz. Here are my questions. And you'll note the tone on this. So I noticed the opening tip-off. Jokic was limping a little bit, right? So he was limping a little bit. Aaron Gordon did not play. So does this win count, Skaz? And remember, for context, the Celtics beating the Cavs in the playoffs didn't really count because Donovan Mitchell was hurt. The Celtics beating the Pacers didn't really count because Halliburton tapped out Joe Murray. So I'm wondering, like, the Cavs beating the Celtics twice with the Celtics missing 2 starters, does that mean anything? Does that win count? Do those 2 wins count? Does the Cavs beating the Celtics Friday night count? I'm asking because I'm not sure what wins count, what wins don't count, what losses count, what don't. Like, I need help with this because the Celtics have now beaten the Nuggets twice. And Jokic missed the first one in Denver. He limped his way to a near triple-double. He limped his way to 20 points, 14 rebounds, 9 assists. So, Skaz, help me out, please. I'm begging for help. Does this Celtics win over the Denver Nuggets, does it count? Help me.
It's a tough question, and I guess it depends on who you ask. But to me, yes, it counts.
Thank you. Hey, excellent! Yay, we have a win that counts.
I would also say the Cleveland win on Friday counts for the Cavs. I would also.
Okay, all right. So that one counts too. Okay.
I'm a believer that the playoff series wins last year also count. I know
they do. Okay. So the Celtics actually won the championship last year. They did.
I'm pretty sure.
So that one counts.
In my book, that one counts.
Okay, that's the book I care about right now, Skaz, because you're looking at a screen with me. So today's win against Denver counts. The Cavs beating the Celtics counts. The championship counts. The Celtics beating the Pacers counts. The Celtics beating the Cavs without Mitchell last year in the playoffs, that counts. Okay, now we can proceed. Now we can move forward.
Yeah, I mean, did you see what the Pistons did on Wednesday night when they beat the Celtics? I was surprised.
That one counts too.
I was surprised they didn't drop a banner for that like Indy did earlier this year. So I think, when every team beats the Celtics, it certainly counts for them. Some accounts, even team social media accounts, it seems to be counting days later. I think the Dallas Mavericks did like a mini documentary on their win in the Garden earlier last month. So yes, if teams beating the Celtics count and they get to put those notches in their belts, I'm certainly going to give the Celtics one today because Aaron Gordon was out, but Jrue Holiday also out. Kristaps Porzingis also out today. So yeah, I think the Cavs win on Friday counts, and I think the Celtics win today certainly counts.
I did see a quote from Donovan Mitchell after Friday's game. I'm going to paraphrase it a little bit. He said something about the season series and how you can't really read into it because, like, they're missing people. We were missing people. So, like, the regular season matchup kind of is iffy if you can take anything away from it. I think Max said something on the broadcast about it, on the pregame broadcast with Sean Grandier, as Mick Foley would say. So I'm being a jerk here because I'm a little aggravated because I don't know what I can call a good win, what I can call a bad win. Like, it's all like, I think all the wins count. I think the scoreboard is the scoreboard, and it's not my fault that last year the Celtics lost to the Lakers without LeBron James on the floor, without Anthony Davis on the floor. They lost that game. It's not my fault that the Celtics beat the Nuggets twice and Jokic was limping. Aaron Gordon didn't play in one of them, and Jokic didn't play in the other one. It still counts. That's how I think it. That's how I think it is. That's how I feel, Skaz. Is that all these games count? The roster is the roster. There's enough star power around the league. Anything can happen in the world of the NBA because it's entertainment. And so that's my core belief is these games count no matter what the roster looks like.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. I mean, when the Celtics win, people take victory laps, and when they lose, other teams do the same. So I'm with you. It all counts. I thought Donovan Mitchell and Kenny Atkinson were both really good after that game. And no, I'm not just saying that because I'm a green teamer. I think it's something the NBA kind of needs. Is I don't want to call it self promotion. I think that's probably a little strong, but the NBA media and the players, their relationship this year, I would say, has been a little more tumultuous than in years
Oh,
past.
agreed.
You see the guys on NBA on TNT. Half the time, you don't even know if they're watching the games. And look, I'm a big fan of the entertainment value of that show. I do think it's a good thing for the league, but I'm not going to those guys for my in-game and analysis or breakdowns or anything like that. Like they're entertainers more than anything else, which is something we can certainly relate to. I
We
don't.
all are, Scaz. We
Yeah,
all are in our own ways. Some of
I
us
don't.
watch the games. I know Joe Murray watches the game. I know you watch the game. Joe Murray yells at the world about. And I'm not picking on Joe Murray. Don't take it that way. Joe's great. I love Joe. I'm not picking on him. Joe Murray yells all the time about how we watch the games. Well, we watch them too. But I think the point that you're trying to make is most of, I would say, a high percentage of people, they see the highlights on their phone, they see the highlights on YouTube, and they kind of go from there. If you have a comment, drop one in the comment line. We're live on YouTube at the moment. We'll take your comments and questions as we go along here. If I want to dig into the biggest point of emphasis that the Celtics right now, they're missing Porzingis, they're missing Holiday. But what they're really missing is Holiday's defense matching up against one of, if not the other team's best players. Or he'll take the weak side player and they'll try to have Missoula in the post game, I think it was today, said they didn't even talk about Jokic. They're like, we'll let Jokic do his thing. We'll just worry about everybody else. And Jamal Murray, who I love, I admittedly would have taken him at 3. I would be wrong in that instance, although we would have had a really good player in Jamal Murray, I think. Jamal Murray's always had the ass against the Celtics. Like, he's always been really good against them. If Holiday's there, it helps. It definitely helps. Did I see you tweet like Holiday should just get the surgery already?
I might have tweeted it, but I think I certainly said it to you on Friday when
Okay.
we had the crossover. But yeah, I'm of that belief. If he's injured in any way, just watch the Cleveland game. Like
Yeah.
you need him. You need him. I think it's very. That's why last year was so important that they because this window, the Brown and Tatum window is a completely different window than the Horford, Holiday, Porzingis window of the Brown and Tatum era. The Brown and Tatum era is going to go on without these guys. Eventually, they're going to bring in another cast of older guys to try and get back to that level. But right now, with the salary cap and the aprons and the tax and all that stuff, this is the window. Other teams, we're already seeing them shed salaries and kind of take apart their big 3s and 4s, whatever. And so the Celtics have an opportunity with this quote unquote loaded roster to go out and get another one before the penalties increase and the apron and all that. So if it's mallet finger is what they're calling it, and the surgery is, a couple weeks recovery, I'm in the boat that just go get it now. A couple weeks from now, you can start shooting again, and then by playoff time, you're ready to go. I don't like the risk of him playing through it and then he jams it, in a first round playoff game or lands awkwardly or something like that. So yeah, I'm in the camp that he should have it now.
And Jaylen Brown talked post game today, Denver, that he been playing with a bad knee, playing with a banged up knee. You just reminded me something when you were talking about the payroll stuff. Remind me before we sign off that I have an ownership nugget.
There's a big market tease.
Yeah,
That's
it's
a big market tease.
small, but it's enough as to the logic as to why it's happening. And it's pure speculation. But the Holiday defense is a big thing. Jamal Murray, 40 points today, 40 minutes, 26.7 assists. Friday, it's Donovan Mitchell, 12 for 26 for 41, but he was an even on the plus minus thing. I still pay attention to plus minus because it's about as advanced and analytic that I think the audience really actually understands. Darius Garland was a minus 17 with 20 points. So keep this in mind, and 7 assists. Garland and Mitchell had 61 points, but were a minus 17 on the floor. Like, that's hard to do, especially in a win. So it's the whole, like, the Celtics think Garland's a I said a Felger Maz bad. I almost said a Felger Maz bad word there. They think Darius Garland's soft. That's out there. We've said that a bunch of times. So it's not like we're hiding anything, but they miss Holiday's defense greatly. And however they want to spread it out, he's on their best player, he's on their worst. They need Holiday's defense. So
yeah,
you had some clutch moments. Horford's defense on Jamal Murray, and then he picks up the dunk in transition, which is really what finished the game off for Denver. You had the Derek White floater with less than 3 on the shot clock, I think it was. So those are kind of the key points in the Denver game that we are chatting about. What else? You had something else on the Denver game.
Yeah, on the Denver game, I thought, you mentioned the Horford thing. I thought he was terrific tonight, very much needed. But just kind of looking at the two games, because I think they're kind of a good, I don't know, bar of where this team is right now, where it shows you that they need these guys in the playoffs. Like, they're not going to be able to do it without Porzingis this year. I don't think they'll be able to be as dominant throughout the playoffs without him, and certainly without Holiday. And you mentioned the plus minuses, and that's kind of where my concern came from on Friday night. Is Peyton Pritchard played 25 minutes, a minus 36. That's
not great.
In a game, they went on a 25-3 run to start the game. So if you're a Cleveland fan, you're going to say, well, there's Darius Garland's minus 17 right there. That was it. That ruined it. But I think it goes deeper than that, because Cornette and Pritchard were borderline unplayable in that game. A bad matchup for them. Cleveland's a fast, long team. That's a concern going forward in the playoffs if you don't have Porzingis and Holiday. That is a bad matchup for them. Pritchard, love him, 6th man of the year. He's had a really good year. He had a bad night. It's going to happen, but I think that is a small C concern going forward. And then you go to the Cavs game, and you get 11 points from Pritchard, 8 from Hauser, 8 from Keita, and I think 1 from Torrey Craig. So the bench scored 6 points on Friday night. You just can't have that. That's not going to get it done. But you saw, I think what you saw today too in the Denver game, and I can't remember if I put this in my notes, but Tatum, I think you saw a fatigued Jason Tatum today. And we all probably should have expected that, because he was a man possessed on Friday night. Maybe one of his best games as a Celtic, which is saying something. We mentioned Kenny Atkinson earlier. He was raving about Jason Tatum post-game, his shot-making ability, just creating different things on the court for different players. But he had some bad turnovers today. I know he still had some rebounds, some assists, but was bad from 3, and I think that's a legs thing. I think the turnovers are mental fatigue, and the bad from 3 is physical fatigue, and I think that plays into Holiday and Porzingis being out too. You're just putting so much more on Tatum, so much more on Jalen, because Horford, while he was terrific today, he's not that every night, and you can't expect him to be. So that's one of my big takeaways. Was Mazzulla had a bad night Friday. I think he had a much better afternoon today.
So I have a few follow-ups here, Scaz. One is, are we sure that Peyton Pritchard's the 6th man of the year?
Well, don't tell Joe Murray that, but I'm kind of with you though. His second half has not been nearly as good as his first half of the season.
So that's my first one. The second is in response to the Joe Mazzulla hasn't made adjustments thing. And Joe Mazzulla is so smart that I kind of wonder if he's purposely not making the adjustment. He's trying to see if the players will make the adjustment. And then when they don't make the adjustment, after the game, he lights them up for not knowing the adjustment or adjustments. But when we get to the playoffs, we see real-time adjustments. And so this is the Joe Mazzulla, let's let him play through it. This is why he would never call timeouts. This is why some of the things that we're like, what? Well, that's weird. It's because Joe, that's how he's teaching. He's teaching by experience.
So I love
how's that. How's that for? I could never word that as well as I think I did just there.
I was about to say, I love that. That was a green teamer take if I've ever heard one. So let me do you one more. Let me add on to that, Jay Stu. If you want to go real down the Mazzulla route. I think, and look, maybe we're giving Joe too much credit, and he had a bad
definitely
night.
am. I love the guy now.
Yeah, and I'm about to as well. So I think if you wanted to spin it in a green team or Celtic way, what
Oh,
if
dude.
he realized Holiday and Porzingis are out, and he knows Peyton Pritchard's hopefully not going to be out there on the floor against a lot of these matchups, and neither is Hauser, who was getting abused on Friday night at times. What if he just said, we're going to throw what we've thrown at him the first couple matchups, and we're just going to, like you said, kind of just play the game. Let the players do what they want to do. I'm not going to show them any exotic looks or, switch coverages. I think they went zone briefly, I think, for a little while. And then, I don't know. There was just not a good night overall for Mizzou on Friday. But if you want to spin it green teamers, he's saving it. He's not showing them anything. He's hiding the playbook. Like, I'm sure we'll get that take as well. But a
Good spin,
very
isn't it? That's a good spin. That's a
I'm
good spin.
impressed. You should work in PR, Jay Stu. That was impressive.
No, these teams wouldn't like how I do PR because I tell them to tell the truth.
Yeah. But I thought up and down weekend for Missoula, but we're believers. We're Missoula guys.
One of my favorite PR people, he once I had a rule, like and I have this rule with people, like, don't intentionally lie to me. Like, if I ask a question, and I don't ask around a lot about things, but if I ask a question, don't intentionally lie to me. Don't manipulate me. Just tell me you can't tell me what it is. And so there was a time in my past life when I was actually a nice person and a good person. Now, not so much, but that I would run something by a PR person, and they would be like, "That's a good theory." Wink, wink, smile, smile. And that would be their way of confirming it.
Yes.
Or, you're not wrong to believe that. Things like that. Those are good PR people. The bad PR, I shouldn't talk about bad PR people because there are a lot of bad PR people. So yeah, that's
Torrey Craig, Jay Stu. I want to
Torrey
ask
Craig. That's who you want to talk
Craig.
about. Torrey Craig.
A DNP, I believe, against Detroit on Wednesday. He plays like 3 minutes or something on Friday night, and I think he played 6 today. This is a guy who we were kind of singing his praises a week ago, saying, "Oh, he's 34." Well, there you go. He's moving his feet. He can shoot the three. Looks like he's kind of fitting in seamlessly. And now and Missoula was asked about it. I forget who asked him on Friday night, and he said, "Look, his 2 minutes can be as important as playing 20 minutes a night." He gave you the coach speak where, yeah, he made an impact. He had a good stop on Ty Jerome, and then they scored when they went down the other way. And it's like, well, then why didn't you keep him out there if he had such a good impact? So the Torrey Craig thing, I think, is a little interesting, especially on a weekend when they're light, they're not very deep, and we're getting, Sam Hauser's getting killed out there. So what do you think is going on with Torrey Craig?
So he's either got like a mild injury. So my guess is, these are just guesses, there's something going on with him, whether it's like, his knee's banged up, his elbow's banged up. Maybe there's a bad matchup. Maybe there's a bad film session. Maybe Joe Mazzulla is saving him for the playoffs. It's a good theory because he did have an impact. It might have been just like a matchup thing. It might have been like Joe's like, we won't use him here. We'll wait because we might need him. Or it was Jaylen Brown's knee is banged up. Tatum's fatigued. We might need him to start back-to-back games next week because they're home Portland, home Philadelphia. Is that Wednesday, Thursday? And then the Lakers on Saturday?
That sounds right. I mean, it might be Tuesday, Thursday, but it's something like that. Yeah.
Wednesday. Oh, hang on. Wednesday, Trailblazers. Thursday, Sixers. Saturday, Lakers. Jazz on Monday.
So they got a little rest coming up. 2 days
So
off.
maybe Portland, Jalen sits. Maybe Tatum sits against Philadelphia.
I like it.
So they need him. They need him fresh for back-to-back starts or back-to-back big minutes off the bench. Something like that. That is my green teamer guess.
Yeah, I mean, either that or it's something worse, which would not be good, where he's not fitting the scheme or he's having a tough time picking up their offense, which I can't imagine. It's go stand at the 3-point line. How difficult can it be?
Well,
I say that slightly in jest.
Well, so I've showed you the concepts playbook of a team, right? I've shown you this.
Oh yes, yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah.
it's it's 40. The one that I have is 40 pages.
Yes.
And so it's different names and numbers and codes and this, adjustment 1, adjustment 2, adjustment 3.
So
So maybe that's an issue.
if that's an issue, then I think that's something, concern might be strong, but I think that's something that is, something worth monitoring.
Yeah. And this is why he's 34 and he's been with multiple different teams.
Very true. Very true also.
All the potential in the world. Skaz, do you have anything else?
I'm trying to think. Porzingis, how do you feel about this? Like, he's sick. He's been ruled out, 5 minutes before tip-off 2 or 3 times in the last 2.5 weeks. My theory, if we're doing theories, is that
Yeah, hang on. There, can I get my tinfoil hat over there, please?
yeah, get the hat out. But because one of them, Derek White, even said post game, like, I didn't know he wasn't playing until the lineups were announced. Like, he was in the layup line. So my theory is that he's going out there warming up and then he feels something or just doesn't feel quite right, and they're just being extra cautious with him. And if that's the case, fine. Also worrisome that he's, constantly feeling something when he's warming up. But the illness thing is, I would say, sketchy at best.
So if he's in layup lines and it's illness, you kind of want to get him away from the team, don't you?
That was kind of my thought as well.
So hang on, let me reach for my red flag. I got to get some props here. But illness in a layup line, unless he's got the runs and he's got number 2s going and he can't power through the number 2, illness feels like they're covering for something else.
Yeah, that's the worry, because it's if it was one time, even twice, maybe it's a non-story. But this has happened multiple times over the last couple of weeks, and I don't know where you sit on it, but I don't think they can repeat if Porzingis is not healthy.
I would agree with that. Not only not healthy, like they can't repeat with the Porzingis that they got last playoffs.
Like, outside of, game whatever 1 in the finals,
he's got to play 16 of the 22.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
He can't play 7 of the 25 or whatever it was. I don't remember exactly the number, but he's got to play 75% of those games. He can't play 20 to 25% of those games, less, whatever the number is.
And for me, that was the fear when you acquired this guy, was you couldn't rely on him, but also not just that he would become, a pivotal piece, like a guy that they need. And last year we mentioned the injuries, the easy road, all that stuff, that they got lucky. They got some good breaks. Every championship team in history has gotten good breaks. It's what happens. But now you're relying on Kristaps Porzingis to win a title. If Brown or Tatum goes down, you're porked. We all know that. But now you have a guy outside of your top 2 franchise players where he is the difference maker. The unicorn, the mismatch, whatever you want to call him. He is what they need. He is their spark plug. Jalen looks different when he's on the court. Tatum gets different defenses thrown at him. Horford is spared. Like, it's not just a Kristaps Porzingis impact thing. It's the trickle-down effect of his minutes, him being out there, and just, Holiday. Derek White, look, I know, and Derek, we probably should talk about Derek White a little bit. He was tremendous today, but he looks different when Holiday's out there. Like, if these guys aren't out there, fatigue grows in the playoffs. These guys will break down even sooner.
Because when it works one of two ways. Either one of your starters is out and you just slide somebody in and they pick up and they play a little bit better, or Porzingis and Holiday are so valuable to everything that's working on all cylinders that you can't take away those 2 cylinders and still have it work, because the stress on, you saw it against Cleveland. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum should not be combining. If the Celtics are going to win, and they almost did, and they should have won, they're not combining for 80 points?
I think it was 83 or 86, something like that.
Yeah, like that's not how the Celtics win basketball games. It's just not. So it's something to, and Tatum was possessed the other night.
Yeah, 46, 16, and 9.
He almost had a triple double at halftime. He had the 30 burger at halftime.
Yeah, and then he didn't have a free throw after the first quarter, which I didn't love. We're not gonna do, the refs, the refs.
Fatigued. Yeah. No, I think it was fatigue with
Yeah,
Tatum.
I do
And
too.
he would spin to the refs and complain on layup attempts, but I
And
don't think I
Jokic,
think
I
it was
think
fatigue.
Jokic, you almost got like reverse where Jokic was awesome in the first half, just like Tatum, and then I don't think Jokic, he might have had one shot in the fourth quarter or minimal. I don't think I think Torrey Craig took more free throws today than Jokic did, which should never happen in a basketball game.
So I wonder if Jokic was limping around. He's got a knee injury. Maybe they drained it. So in sports, you can kind of like get the needle and whatever's in the needle,
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
can shoot up an injury, and it lasts for the first half. Or you can get it at halftime and it lasts for the second half
Yep.
because it's adrenaline. There's no rest. This is why Joe Mazzulla is right about abolishing halftime. Because then maybe it lasts through 3 quarters instead of 2 quarters. But that would be my theory. That would just be my theory on that. Do you have anything else before I talk up the Lakers?
My only, do you view Cleveland as a legitimate threat to the Celtics?
I do. I think Kenny Atkinson's a great coach. I think their staff is excellent. I think the players all buy in. Mitchell is a problem. Their bigs can be a problem for the Celtics. Do I think they beat the Celtics in the playoffs? No. But we could look back, assuming both teams are fully healthy. We could look back at the Celtics winning the series in 5 games and saying, "Oh wow, like the Cavs gave them the best." Like the Pacers, they swept the Pacers, and the Pacers were their toughest out.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
think.
Yeah. No, I'm
So I think
100%
that's
with
how
you.
we might look back at the Cavs. I still think, and based on Tatum's performance on Friday night, I still think the Celtics are going for that 1 seed.
Yeah, that's almost part of my concern. I don't want them to go for the 1 seed, and I'm with you. I think Mobley if Mobley's playing like he did on Friday night, that's a problem for the Celtics. He is
Yep.
incredible when he's on, but he's just not always on. So I still think the Celtics take care of them if healthy, but I think Cleveland is a more legitimate threat than I thought at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, they're so well coached. They're buying into the coaching, and that's the important thing about coaching is that you can have a great coach. So Kenny Atkinson was in Brooklyn. They had a young up and coming team. Here comes Kyrie Irving. Here comes Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving and Atkinson did not get along, and Kyrie got him fired. That's my belief. That's been my belief for a long time, and I think in real time there was talk about. I remember listening to the Celtics show with Gasper and Murray, and they were talking about a player that Kenny Atkinson wanted, Jimmy Butler. And I texted Murray. I said, "Put this on the air. Kenny Atkinson hates Jimmy Butler because he hates him. He hates Kyrie Irving. There's a certain type of player that I believe Kenny Atkinson hates. Um, that's not on the record. That's just me believing in something. And who knows? Maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Celtics Lakers on Saturday nights, guys. I can't tell you how excited I am about this basketball game. The idea that Boston can see Luka and LeBron play together, and Luka's motivation against Dallas, like that triple double, that was an attack on the Mavs. And now that Luka has gotten invested in the Lakers, win over Denver in Denver, win over Dallas, win against the Wolves, and win against the Clippers. So they are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're 6-2. He was inactive for 1 game at Portland, but they're 6-2 since he came back. And I feel like if Luka and LeBron really get on the same page and they're not passing the basketball back and forth trying to get the extra assist for a triple double, like they could be in the finals. They probably scare me the most out west just because it's LeBron, and I could see the NBA engineering something so that LeBron makes the finals with Luka. That's just a vibe and a feeling and a theory, but like the Garden should be rocking on Saturday for Lakers Celtics with LeBron and Luka in the building. And hopefully the Celtics are healthy for it.
Yeah, that's going to be maybe the hottest ticket of the season. Should be a great game. I think the Lakers are. I'm a believer. I'll say that. I still think OKC is a much better team, a much deeper team. But if you have LeBron and Luka, you have a chance in any playoff series. I'm not naive enough to think otherwise. There are some people that'll say, LeBron's too old. Luka doesn't play defense. I don't care. They are LeBron James and Luka Doncic. They are two, top 25 players of all time, Luka, when it's all said and done. So you put them in a playoff series, they're going to have a shot. JJ Redick, I'll be very interested to see him in a playoff series. His genius, his absolute, beautiful mind, the smartest man to ever grace a basketball court. I can't wait for his in-game adjustments. I'd be shocked if they, lost the playoff series with him behind the bench. So I think it's the Lakers are the most interesting story in basketball right now. And if you look at their defensive numbers since the Luka trade, it's kind of astonishing. They've been a very good defensive team. And I did see some funny tweets where, Luka, he had the triple-double the other night, but it was like 16, 12, and 10 maybe or something like that, or 18, 12, and 10. And Nuggets fans were tweeting, Westbrook used to get crushed for having stat lines like this as a Laker, and now Luka's being lauded as the next coming. So yeah, it's Luka is the new toy for the Lakers right now. Everybody loves him. I'll be interested to see if Fat Luka shows up at all during his Lakers tenure, and he's getting run by SGA, or he can't keep up with Steph in a playoff series. I'll tell you right now, the Warriors. I'm not writing the Warriors and Jimmy Butler.
I would
off
not
yet
write them off either.
Everyone's talking about the Lakers and LeBron and Luka, but I watched that Steph game the other night, 52 or whatever it was. He was out of his mind. He was Steph, which is terrifying to watch, especially if you're a Celtics fan. And we all know what Jimmy Butler can do. He's a gigantic loser when he's the number one on a team. But if you put him on the number two again with a real superstar, a guy that actually knows how to win, not a guy that just pretends to know how to win like Jimmy Butler and is an 8 seed every year because he doesn't care, I am worried about them. Steph Curry is a legit superstar who knows how to win championships. And if that rubs off on Jimmy Butler in any way, then yeah, I think it's OKC, it's the Lakers, and it's the Warriors for me out west right now.
Yeah, I'm here for it. My Celtics little ownership detail, and it was something that somebody said to me in passing as to why they're doing estate planning, I think as they put it. So taxes are insane, right? And how can I put this? Irv is 90, and essentially, if something were to happen, the kids can't pay the taxes on the inheritance.
So it's they're getting their ducks in a row. They're making sure everything is okay. I mean, yeah. I mean, it makes sense. It's
right. So if for example, I pass away, Skaz, you're in my will, I leave you $100, right?
that'd be nice.
60 of those dollars go to the government or whatever the tax rate is, right?
Probably more these days.
It's a high rate. And so, but that's the theory as to why, it's somebody else's theory that they just kind of said in passing to me. It's like, this is actually why the Celtics or Irv is selling, is because the kids can't pay the taxes on the inheritance. That's my little ownership nugget.
Yeah.
That's why I left it for the end. I made people wait for that.
No, I think it's good. I think it shows that, maybe it's not as, dramatic as everybody seems. It was a surprise, but when you break it down, it makes sense. I think that's smart.
And keep this in mind too, because we haven't heard anything about it. I think the Celtics, the reporting is that they're looking for $6 billion. I don't think that they've gotten close to $6 billion for an offer. My guess is like $3 or $4 billion, which is still a ton of money. I still love the Reddit theory of, one of the Amazon guy coming in and buying the Bruins, the Celtics, and the building. I did see an NBC 10 report that the Celtics have the highest beer price in the NBA. Which
out on that.
Yeah, like that. And it's like $4 more than number 2 or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, the Bezos thing is fascinating, but I think what, and we've mentioned this before, and I think you were the one that might have said it to me first, but people say that like the 6 billion for the Celtics, they're not selling the entire team. That's not what's happening. They're selling, 40%. It's like under that. It's like 39 or something percent. Like,
Yeah.
so they're not going to get the 6 billion. So yeah, I think you're right when you talk about that 3-4 billion. Like, that's probably the much closer ballpark. So I just wonder if they're hoping, maybe other partial owners are also trying to sell. Like, we've only gotten reports about Wick, but don't you think that when the majority shareholder of any company, not just a basketball team, but it's going to change ownership, that usually there's a trickle down effect of other people trying to get out or to get more power. It's not usually just, one for one. There's usually other bits and pieces that are moving around as well. So I wonder if that's also happening behind the scenes.
Yeah, and I also think like if Wick speaks for the family, you have somebody who doesn't really want to sell.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So it makes it a little bit harder to sell when the person who's in charge of the sale doesn't really want to sell.
Yeah. No, that's a problem. That's definitely a problem.
So it's like and I'm being a bit like I'm being a little jokey and saying like if you and me, Skaz, we go to whoever's running it, like whatever capital firm, right? And we
Yeah.
go, we want to pay $6 billion to buy the Celtics. And they go, oh, we'll take your offer to the Grousbeck family. And Wick's the one who gets the offer, and he looks at it and goes, yeah, it's good. We'll just put it over here. We'll just put it in the thinking about it category.
That's
And
yeah.
then, a week later, we go to follow up. It's like, oh, did you get the offer? Yeah, we got it. We're thinking about it.
And
We're thinking about it.
they're not
And
calling you back.
it's in the pile right over there. Like it's there, you can see it, but it's like, we got a basketball season to run. We'll get to it. We'll get to it.
We'll get
And
to it
then
when we get to it.
Irv calls and goes, how's the sale going? Like, oh, we got some offers. We're going through the offers.
Working hard.
Yeah, we're just
Working hard.
we're going through the offers, but yeah, that's my Celtics ownership stuff. I hope Pags gets it. The Eagles guy, I'd be accepting of getting it, but
I
you
believe
know
he
what'll
said he's
happen,
out,
guys?
but I don't know. I think
You know
Jeffrey
what'll
Lurie
happen?
said he's out.
Yeah, but there are also NDAs involved.
That's
And
very
this is
true as
why,
well.
like, I don't think anybody's like, if I had any business people that I could talk to, like I'd call. But like all the Celtics leadership people that I've talked to, like they're not worried about the sale. I'm like, is there anything? We're not worried about it. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if they're not worried, maybe we shouldn't be either, but I'll believe it
Yeah.
when I see it.
But it'll be like Adam Himmelsbach of the Globe will come over the top rope on like Thursday at like 4 p.m. and being like, oh, we have a high bidder.
Yeah, and let's hope it's someone that's going to spend money.
Let's hope it's somebody that we know and we're like, oh, that's a good thing, instead of you know, political person X who wants to build a casino across the street from Encore,
Yeah.
and is going to build a new building and all that stuff, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Skaz, anything else? I think I've done enough damage today.
No, I'm good. I thought, a good week of basketball to react to. I thought the Cleveland game was a tremendous game of basketball, a game that, they should get criticized for losing. They had a huge lead. And then Denver, they take care of business, kind of a grittier, lower scoring, not lower scoring, but compared to Friday night for sure. Just a better all-around team effort. The bench gave them something. Horford looked like, a reliable Horford that, you hope to see in the playoffs. So a good week of Celtics basketball. And, we're going to have a Lakers game to talk about next
Yeah.
Sunday.
That'll be good. That'll be really good. That'll be really good. So I think I've done enough damage here. I'm gonna go do my wrestling podcast now, Skaz, and yell and scream about how much I love the John Cena villain turn.
Hey, that was the only thing I saw last night. It was the most viral thing I've seen in a long time. So shout out John Cena. He can do no wrong in my mind. I'm in. I'm in on heel Cena.
It's always amazing to me, and I see it a lot more than other people, but like to find out like who's a wrestling fan when something really big happens. something really big happens.
You couldn't avoid that last night. That was number one. I think Joe led off his show earlier today with it.
Yeah, he did.
And rightfully so. Biggest story in sports.
I'll go back, and I know he tweeted about it and he texted with me about it. But I'm glad that he let off his show about it, because that's the number one story in the world right now is John Cena going to the dark side. So I thankfully have a Stick to Wrestling podcast that I can
love it.
Yell and scream into a microphone for 20 minutes about. So Skaz, thank you very much. Should be a good week of the Celtics. And yeah, we'll talk to you next week. Go Green Team. Yeah. And these wins count.